Welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today I'm coming to you with a client machine that is acting very slow. Now, this is probably one of the biggest laptops I've worked on in a very long time. It is about 16.5 inches wide and about 11.5 inches deep. And the reason for that is it has some very interesting layout here with Beats speakers or Beats audio. Depending on who you are, you either hate or love it. And you've got a full 10-key keyboard and all that good stuff, optical drive, what have you. I have already kind of filmed this a bit out of order. So at this point I'm going to splice in some things that I noticed in Task Manager here. First off, we've got an AMD A10, not great, not terrible, 8 gigs of RAM, 7.97 of that, or 91 of that usable, which means it's probably sharing it with the HD graphics. Running Windows 10, no big surprises there. This, however, is a surprise. So we have 99% of the disk trying to be accessed at any given time. And that fluctuates on and off, as well as the higher than average memory usage for idle. And then the CPU is also fluctuating. Norton is on the computer, and if you're a computer person, you're not a huge fan of Norton or a lot of antivirus because of the amount of resources that it sucks away. The general rule of thumb, at least in my circles, are if you know what you're doing with the computer and you're not installing questionable stuff, specific antivirus, unless you're dealing with some highly sensitive information, is really overkill for most people. So there are a couple things that we're going to have to diagnose and look at, but a lot of it seems to have to do with drive read-write issues. Depending on what we find out, what we can tweak and what we can learn, the best solution to this problem might be a solid state swap, but we'll see how difficult it would be to even do that in the first place. Now, let's take a look at this from kind of like a retrospective look as well. And we're gonna flip this machine over and be immediately disappointed. There are no quick access panels, so I'm really curious to know what the inside of this looks like. So let's unlock and wow, that is a super tiny battery for such a large machine. Let's see here. It is a 2600 milliamp battery, and it is incredibly light and it takes up no room on this machine whatsoever. So this was supposed to be a desk lizard. Like, that's all it was designed to be. That's incredible. Okay, so now that we've removed the battery, let's be responsible and discharge it. Any current that might still be in the system. This is actually a fairly rare beast because it's a laptop with an AMD processor, and at this time in 2017, AMD has not made their comeback yet, and they still might not make their comeback with Ryzen. We shall see. Okay, so we have to pretty much take the entire backplate off, which is annoying. So we're dealing with all plastic construction, which, considering how much the client told me that they paid for the machine, is a little surprising. And of course it also has Beats audio, which adds to the price tag. And I have to say, with all the screws that I'm pulling out here, I'll be very, very disappointed if I have to remove the feet as well to gain admittance. Now, there is one screw that's labeled on here for the optical drive, which is this fellow right here. I anticipate that I may need to remove the optical drive prior to pulling the back case off. We'll do it first, since that should be easily done. At the time, a couple of years ago, when the client said that they bought this machine, it was around $900. I anticipate that a good chunk of that was probably for the Beats audio, the extra large screen. Like there's certainly value. It's just a unique kind of niche market, in my opinion, laptop, because it's quite clear that this was not meant to be portable for longer than about an hour. Some of these screws don't want to let go. One over here. These two in the corner don't want to seem to drop free. Okay, so our optical drive comes out, no problem. And anything interesting, it's DVD, CD, rewritable. That covering looks very cheap. That's quite the arm that they have extending into the unit. Start feeling around the edges. By design, it looks like these black feet are going to have to come out. Put that screw off to the side, because it looks like the case runs just underneath these black feet, which is an interesting design choice, but aren't they all? And we're going to be very gentle on the off chance that they're hiding a warranty screw under there, which again would disappoint me greatly. So it's too soon to say whether or not this was designed to be taken apart, but so far it's not looking good. And this is one of my biggest gripes with computers of today. You buy them, you want to extend the service life of the unit like the client does on this one. Okay, no screw. Put that back on right away. Let's check the back feet. Aha! Yeah, we're hiding screws. Whether or not that's going to help out a great deal is too soon to say. But I want to take them out just in case I get later, like further on down the teardown. Now here's something very unique, and let's see if we can get it on the camera here. There are two smaller screws here and here, but someone has placed what appears to be a sticker over top. And I anticipate that this might be a warranty thing. That's alright, we'll just take the whole sticker out. Alright, turns out we got more screws to go. So these panels kind of wiggle loose like that. We got a screw hidden underneath there. I'm going to open this up. We'll take our trusty plastic card. And I'm going to try to open along this edge here. Man, oh man, that is snug. Man, they did not want you getting into this thing. Like, don't get me wrong, the fit and finish is alright, but oh, here we go. Clip, 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 clip. Man, oh man. I am not going to enjoy opening this. Now there's going to be at least 2 ribbon cables, potentially, no, it should just be 2. I'm going to start at the other end here. One obviously for the trackpad, and the other for the keyboard, and that's normally, keyword there, how these things are put together. Now there might be some of you that's saying, oh my goodness, that's really well built, it's hard to open. And from an engineering standpoint, that's not a good thing most of the time to have these tight of tolerances, because it means there's a lot less room for something to go wrong generally speaking. Oh my god. If I can help it, I'm only taking this apart once. Okay, I noticed something here that I don't like. Turns out this is actually a screw cover. Why? Just why? Did they do that just so the computer would be harder to get into? Yeah, and I can feel the board releasing on the other side. Don't you pop back into place. Work too hard. There you go. Now, I anticipate there is, yes. And thankfully, all of the ribbon cables are hanging out at the front. So I'll try and tilt this in a manner that you can see. But in here is the ribbon cable for the trackpad and the ribbon cable for the keyboard. We'll do the keyboard first. Reach in there, flick it up, and that blue tab is lying perfectly flat. So we'll just encourage that out. Flip that tab up. Okay, we have one tab at the back, which is probably power. Look at all of this empty space. So, drive, hard disk, that looks like tape, empty space, empty space, empty space, empty space, empty space, empty space. Yeah. Needless to say, this is not a space-efficient system. That is the battery charging board with the literally shortest ribbon cable I've ever seen. This is our Wi-Fi card. Here are your Beats speakers, main board, and of course the RAM is going to be on the other side, which means I get to take this whole thing apart. Ribbon cable for SATA. Realistically, looking at this drive bay, you could put almost anything you want in here. It just wouldn't look very nice. Because I guess it's just a cutout plastic mold. Like, that's all there is to it. So this is headphone, lights, and USB. And it's supposed to have like some kind of shock absorbing chassis, I suppose, which just lifts right up and out. That's got little foam pieces. They're just stuck to the bottom of the case. You know, think of that as you will. Okay, that's it for cables. As I'm working on this, I think, man oh man, I don't even think the Acer Aspire 1 that I took apart was quite this much work. Speakers here are connected to the board there with just a little cable. And I think this main board was mostly held in with the screws that were holding the entire unit together, because there's a whole bunch of punch throughs on the board. Oh, I see. There was that sticker that screw punched through. Okay, I'm actually really happy with what I'm seeing here. We're just going to turn this around, because it's 8 gigs of RAM, but there's a spare module, so they didn't do something silly like 2 and 2 where you'd have to pull them both out if you wanted to go to 16. That is a relief. This looks like a metal heat sink. This pipe looks like it's been through... It looks like it's had a really rough go. Nice big cooling fan though. It's mostly clean, I have to say. So in terms of upgradability, we can drop in another stick of 8 gigs of RAM, and we could also do a hard disk swap. That's really all you can do, which is a crying shame considering how much space there is on the inside of the unit. Well, I can honestly say that this was one of the most unpleasant machines I've ever had to take apart. Lots of screws, lots of things that you need to peel away. RAM is bottom mounted, but they don't bother giving you an access port for it. You pretty much have to take the entire thing apart to do the simplest upgrade, which is RAM. If you enjoy this sort of content, please let me know. Please comment in the comment section if you have any opinions or thoughts on this particular unit. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.